Alrighty, I'm Stacey with Stacey's Organizing and Decorating for Life. I'm here to help you organize your thoughts and decorate your perspectives. So today we're going to dive a little deeper. We talked about dating last week and we talked about the introduction and the compatibility, but how are you going to know if you're compatible? So today we're going to dig deeper into communication. A few things of what to do, what not to do, and all of that. And I'm on limited time right now, and I apologize, but that's good news too. So if you like that, we're going to talk about dating and talk about the introduction and compatibility, about how the communication is where we gather that, then please hit the like and subscribe button below. If nothing else, it's going to be shorter today, so you can like and subscribe to that. So before we get started, I want to remind you that I'm not a doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, scientist, any of those things, but I do have a webpage called staceyforlife.com. And I write a monthly blog on that webpage, and I am indeed a life coach. And so there's a description of the services that I provide as a life coach dealing with addiction, codependency, and grief. But not exclusively to those things, because underneath those things lies a desire for healing and healthy relationships, as well as development of spiritual and soul consciousness. Really, it's about feeling good in your own skin. We dig up all that stuff off your soul and go within, and then you're clear on what you want in this life. So if you or anybody you know need help in any of those areas, please feel free once again to look me up at staceyforlife.com. You can find me on Facebook at Stacey's Organizing and Decorating for Life, and you can also find me at Stacey Renee. You could also find me Stacey Renee 8 on Instagram and Stacey Renee on Twitter and LinkedIn. So let's get started, because like I said, I'm on limited time. So the way that we know if we're, compatible with somebody is our communication. And last week, we talked about making the list. And the thing about the list is that you want to measure up. So we're going to go off of my quote for Topic Tuesday on Facebook. And what that says is, and I had a response on it, we're going to continue to complete the talk on dating. We will go into communication, which is just as much listening as it is talking. It's being present and leaving agendas behind, listening, responding, asking questions. We can tell so much about another and ourselves in that presence. So many wait to be heard but aren't a good listener. But being a match to what we seek in dating and relationships is key. So the quote for that says, "Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something." And this is Plato. And then in the comments, I had somebody be brutally, beautifully honest. And I wanted to share that because I think that many people do this. She said, I was thinking, and I'm not saying her name because I don't have permission to say her name, but she said, I was just thinking about how in sobriety I still introduce myself or describe myself with past critical negative attributions. I can feel in my body that it's no longer me and was a past way to flirt, engage with sarcasm, or deflect. I just did it in a situation when I first met someone and was very nervous, rattled on about things I don't do well, mocking myself. Damn, that was in service to no one, but good learning. To her, I responded, I'm so glad you learned to listen to your inner dialogue. So we're going to talk about inner dialogue today and the divine, realizing it doesn't serve to recreate the past. And see, it's uncomfortable on her soul. This is why I say we do the soul work, because our soul really knows when we're uncomfortable, our soul is trying to tell us something. So many are unaware of the inner dialogue. It is truly a revelation when we notice how it doesn't serve us, and it's just the unconscious, subconscious, because our soul knows who we are, and that's why there's inner turmoil, conflict, and sickness that reflects back to us. Thanks so much for brutally beautiful honesty. I know that it helps because I know that some of you may feel the same way. In fact, when I used to go on dates, I would have a man ask me out for a date, and I would sit across from them, and they would talk and talk and talk. And I'm sure they were just nervous, but I would think, what the hell am I doing here? Because it's like they didn't really care to get to know me. And, I'm a person who values myself. So I want this dialogue to go back and forth. So it tells me if they start off talking and talking like that, my fear is that the whole relationship is them going to be talking at me on a first date. So to get a second date, so like she was saying, if you want a second date, it's important for us to realize what we are saying too. It's not to sit there all, not saying anything. Hopefully you value yourself, because that's how you're going to know if you are compatible with somebody else, if when you say something, they don't flip or they do flip. You know what I mean? So to be yourself, do you remember we talked about to thine own self be true? So what happens when you're like her and you haven't learned a different dialogue? So that's why, people do get life coaches sometimes, because or they have good friends. Because oftentimes when we hear ourselves, that's why it's good to have somebody to talk to. I sit and listen to a lot of people, because a lot of times people don't hear their inner dialogue till it becomes their outer. You don't want to do that on a date, though. I wouldn't suggest that. So here's a few things not to do on a date. Because I tell, guys about this, I'm like, look, on a date, don't talk about your past girlfriends. Y'all don't sit there and talk about that. The rules tells us to only spend 2 or 3 hours on a date, not to do the 6 hours or all-nighters on a, first date, because that people like the mystery in a date. And, you want to get to know each other. You don't want to just get to know somebody when they're on their game and they're ready to, just spilling everything out on you. You want to know people on these crazy days like I'm having today too. Is how are they going to show up when they're having a rough day? Because a lot of times people take it personal. They'll think, oh, they really like me because they spend all these hours. And then when somebody has a rough day, they're like, and so it's really important to know yourself and to hear yourself. So I would encourage you to pay attention to your inner dialogue. Pay attention to your inner dialogue from friends. Sometimes people won't pay attention to that, though, because like my youngest client is 17 years old. So when his parents tell him something, all he hears is, well, So I work with him to help him change his inner dialogue so that in this crazy, uncertain society, he's going to be able to have a dialogue with somebody and to show up authentically as himself, because it's weird having to learn how to communicate in this time, which leads us to the online dating. So in the online dating, I did that twice before COVID, and in my descriptions of what I wanted to meet and stuff, because they kind of let you order up, And what I saw was I only went out with 2 people on that site, and it could be that I wasn't ready to date, period, but they didn't show up the way that I described in the description. They weren't at all, and so one of them, I said I wanted somebody who was healthy and energetic, and the man shows up that he kind of had a shelf here, and he told me about his ex-wife taking his Xanax. She took his Xanax and stole his Xanax and stuff. So this really didn't imply to me that he was indeed very healthy. And needless to say, we didn't go on a second date, and I took myself off of the dating site. So it's important, during COVID, we got to meet people on the computer and, and all of this, but to really be able to sit with someone's energy and let them sit in front of you and to be with them, if you're wanting to extend a relationship. So if you started an online relationship, as soon as you can meet each other, I encourage you to. On an online relationship, never, ever send money. I'm a fan of Judge Judy. And there are so many cases in court where people meet online and they send money, and it's just not a good plan. So it's, you meet people in person as soon as you can. Meet them online. Meet out in a public place. Tell your friends where you're going. Because, I'm not trying to say that it's sad, because I always try to tell people be cautious, because I'm one of the most free-spirited, carefree people But be cautious. Be aware. So people can tell us anything on the computer. Get to know them, Get to know them outside of their typing and their words on the computer. Get to see them, sit with them, and see what their energy is like. See what they say in person, because I have days where I write better. I have days where I talk better. But, I think it's important to know somebody. After experiencing that, I would not do the online dating. And it's very flattering sometimes. That's the thing. And is that it's really flattering. But I encourage you, now that we can get out, to meet in a public social place and see each other and sit in that energy and see if you still like each other. Other things not to do on a date would be to, whether you're the man paying or the female paying, whoever, don't say how much it costs. That's just rude. And I've had people do that, and I think, why are they telling me how much it costs, or bitching about how much it costs? Go somewhere you can afford. Don't just go somewhere to impress somebody and tell them how much it costs. Person wants to really get to know you, I would hope. And if you want to take somebody somewhere that it's going to cost a lot, then hopefully you got the money to pay for it, and you don't have to tell them how much it costs, because we have to wonder, what are your intentions when you're saying how much it costs? If you're trying to go out and have a good time, then and talking about the other things, people don't want to know the bills, right off the bat, for the most part. Maybe some do, but just that leads us to the next part, is remembering to attract. You got to step up to the plate. If you want to attract a good listener, you have to be a good listener, because you have to know that they're listening. Oftentimes when I first started dating after my divorce, my therapist told me, don't date for a year, so that I would clearly know what I want. Because if you don't know what you want, you will manage to manifest somebody who will tell you what you want and what you think. And in the beginning of dating, it all seems very flattering, and they tell you all this good stuff. But then they'll also take that power on into the relationship. And since they have that power, when you're not pleasing to them, they'll also tell you how unpleasing you are. You see, because people learn these skills like this, and whether they're conscious or unconscious. So that's what I mean by when we subconsciously, unconsciously date, and we're not listening, because we're thinking about, what am I going to get out of this? And maybe we're not thinking about what I'm going to get out of this. We're thinking about, oh, he's cute and all of this, but listen to what he or she is saying. It's not just about being cute, because we have many people that, or after their first divorces, they're thinking, what the hell did I do with my life? And some people are still paying for that shit. You know what I mean? So if they maybe would have listened more in the beginning of the relationship, because how often is it that we say in hindsight, well, I should have known, and shooting on yourself isn't going to help you at all. When we are trying to work on our health, people who are health conscious, they do preventive things, so that they don't have health issues. They do, preventive medicine, things that we do, we take our vitamins, or we make sure that we get the minerals and vitamins and everything that we need. Well, you need to do that on your dates too. Make sure that they fill your list that we talked about last week, and make it on the positive side. So the third thing I suggested not to do on the date, if I didn't say it already, because I can't remember and I'm running out of time. Remember, don't talk about your old past boyfriends, girlfriends. You want to bring into the future what you want to manifest into the future, and that doesn't serve any purpose in the past. Another person's not going to heal your wounds. And I think when we first start saying that, when we're young and immature, that we say that hoping that knight on the white horse is going to ride up, or that person, the princess, is going to show up, and that's not the case. We have to be, like I was saying on our list, we have to be the match for that. And if we're lacking somewhere, we're not going to get it from someone else. We have to have it within ourselves. So this is the thing, is you can't fast date. Fast food isn't that great for you, right? Neither is fast dating. You're trying to get something instantly. You don't have time to cook. You don't have time to do this. Do you not have time to invest in your own life, your own mind, body, and soul, about your future? And just dating is fine if you want to have a few different people to date. Because like I said, when you make your list, you may find one person that has a couple of things on the list, but they may have this other thing. So you get to weigh your pros and cons. You don't have to let them decide if they're going to ask you out again or not. You also get to decide, am I going to go out again with this person? So look at that list of pros and cons. Maybe like my mama used to say, don't put your eggs all in one basket. Maybe you do want to go out with a few different people because maybe this person has 2 or 3 things on your list, but this person over here might have 5 things that are on your list. It's about taking the time and which ones do you need the most? What are your wants and needs and desires? So I know this has been all over the place. I don't think that many people really wanted to hear about the dating anyway, but maybe they did, and maybe this is very helpful. Remember, you don't want fast food, you don't want fast dating. Some people want fast food, but understand that fast dating is just as dangerous, if not more so, than fast food. It is more so, because it's dealing with your heart, right? Fast food deals with your heart too. And, that you have to level up and measure up to what it is you want on your list. If you want this quality, you have to be the quality that matches up with that. It's good to listen. Listen to your inner dialogue, like that person who commented, so that you cannot attract somebody, that because when we have a bad inner dialogue, it's going to manifest outwards. That's all there is. Okay? So again, I hope this video has been helpful. I know that hopefully you've watched it all since it was short, not shorter than they have been. And I want you to remember that if you need any help in these crazy, uncertain times, that I'm willing to give you 30 minutes of my time. I can't fix your life in 30 minutes. I'm not trying to say that at all. But to organize your thoughts and decorate your perspectives just for a day so that it can maybe help you get through another day or another day, because people are going through some trying times right now. I would give you the 30 minutes of my time, so just to give you thoughts and perspectives that, somebody who doesn't know you maybe, or even if I do know you, I really don't have no vested interest in your outcome. I just want you to do good. That's all. And I don't have an interest on what good looks like unless I hear it from you and we get to just weigh it out. Because oftentimes so many people, where my job comes in, is so many people are overwhelmed with all the different choices, or they're overwhelmed with all the stuff that's in front of them. This is how my business started, is that people would have, their space would look like what was going on inside, the confusion, the overwhelming stuff. They didn't know where stuff was, and I help people find and sort it out, I do it on an internal level now, though, digging that stuff off your soul, like I said. So I hope that you're well, and I hope that this has made good sense, that you're able to take one thing away from it. And look forward to connecting with you again next week. And thank you so much. I appreciate your time, whether it's this 20 minutes or 30 minutes. I've even gone 40 minutes before. So I thank you very much, and I hope that you have a good rest of your week, and I wish you much love and peace, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.